Welcome to today's video. The past few episodes have focused on introducing you to the world of management consulting and what it takes to get accepted. And now is the time to go over how we can actually package these skills into a beautiful CV that recruiters will want to accept. If you haven't watched the previous video on what it takes to get into consulting, please pause this video and go watch it. Because just like preparing a meal for your loved ones, if you want to make an attractive and tasty dish, it's absolutely necessary to get the best ingredients. And similarly, relevant experiences equals a relevant, strong CV. I'm assuming that you've now checked that video out, and let's take a moment to reflect on what a CV actually is. To be honest, I'd love to hear what you think a CV means in the comments below. You know, there's so many different interpretations out there, and if we all comment our own definition, I think it can really help everyone else viewing appreciate the broadness of the CV and what it does. At MBB 101, the CV is a medium through which to communicate relevant experiences to someone else. The key words here are to someone else and relevant experiences. It's extremely effective to research and understand the organization that will be reading your CV. You need to know what do they care about. You need to know what they require and what they dislike even. The answers to these questions then go on to define which of your experiences are relevant for that specific application. And yeah, technically speaking, a great CV should be tweaked for every application. But as a rule of thumb, this MBB consulting layout that we'll go through is the best universal format you can use, just because the caliber is that high. So the first CV characteristic I want to focus on is the aesthetic. Beyond content, your CV needs to look engaging and seductive. Yeah, I said seductive, guys, because recruiters literally spend 5 to 10 seconds per CV, and a strong aesthetic can mean the difference between a 5-second or 10-second read-through. That's twice as long. Now, a strong aesthetic also means a faster rate of information transfer to the reader, so it has to be sort of formatted in a way that's smooth and easy to read. There are several tools to achieve this effect, and the most important ones are a one-page CV, a clear indexing of your relevant skills, timings, and locations, and even a dab of color. Here's roughly what that might look like. I've taken out the details and the names because that's really not important, because everyone's CV is completely different, and what we care about is achieving that seduction factor. Now that we have a decent picture of what a CV could look like, it's time to focus on the content. Make sure your CV is targeted to MBB by showing you're a go-getter, you have confident communication skills, you're capable of critical thinking, and you're somewhat a high achiever. If you do want to learn about these key traits in more detail, go on the link in our bio, and there's previous videos where I break this down into much smaller, digestible steps. So, while you're writing the CV and explaining how awesome you guys are, the most common mistake I notice is a lack of objectivity. So that is another key trait we have to hone in on. MBB want a CV that is objective. In other words, wherever possible, back all skills and claims with quantifiable measures. For example, take a look at this sentence. It's not objective at all, and so you should really try to avoid these types of sentences. A better structure would look more like this. Notice how there are more numbers and references to tangible achievements. Top-tier consulting firms love this style. So please make sure your CV is as objective as possible. I now want to take a moment to talk about the cover letter. Think of the cover letter as an extension of your CV. Most consulting firms request this alongside your initial application, so it's important to take a short time to appreciate what it actually means. And the general structure follows why me, why consulting, and why that specific company. I don't want to go into too much detail on the cover letter, because relatively speaking, the CV is far more important. But if you would like to see a video about that, drop a comment below and I can put together a quick guide for you guys. Let's quickly recap everything we've learned. The types of CVs that really set you apart, especially when applying for top-tier consulting firms, need to be aesthetic, targeted, and objective. So please write these 3 words down in your notebook or phone and just never forget it. Never forget it, guys. Because if you're not nailing these things, you're just wasting your time, to be frank. So once you send out that application, there's a very short turnaround time between you being accepted and invited to the interview and the interview itself. So simultaneously, we recommend you start preparing for the case interviews as soon as possible. We've actually been developing a beautiful online course to make sure you ace the case interview and land that dream job. So whether you submitted the application 2 weeks ago or still have a few months to prepare, I definitely recommend checking out the link on our bio to start getting familiar with the consulting assessment style. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and see you on our next video.